Martha, really, it's amazing talking to you because we've missed you. Although we can always, access the first 4 seasons, but, we need to have more information. So thank you for this time. And thank you for this amazing connection between you over there in Tasmania and myself here in Mexico City. This is magic, right?
It's an absolute pleasure, Gloria. It's so exciting to beam into Mexico knowing that I can't come there for quite a long time. I've never actually been to Mexico. It's somewhere I've always wanted to go. My husband went there as a young child for about 6 months and he just loved it. And we have 2 hammocks that his mother bought him there that are actually hanging up outside right now. So there is a little bit of Mexico in my garden.
Okay, it counts. But all Latin America are so expectant of the 4th, 5th, and 6th season of A Place to Call Home. And I was wondering, how do you feel to know that in a land so far away, we are all expecting to find out what next is going to happen to the family and to you and your husband and all the family?
Yeah, this show for me really was a moment in time that it changed my life. I was able to concentrate on Sarah for 6 seasons and really embody her and love her. And my husband, as you know, came onto the show for a whole season and played Renee, and that was also beautiful. My children are peppered throughout the seasons as they get older as well. And the set really was like a family. So I adore this show. The fact that it keeps traveling and meeting new people and Sarah keeps living is a real treat for me, because this really was a moment in time in my career.
Is room 2 free? Yes. Great.
I told her. We have better uses for the bed, sister. He can sober up outside.
He's going into a diabetic coma. I need IV fluid set up immediately and urgent bloods to check his glucose levels.
Sister,
and you'd have seen it if you'd bothered to look. Doctor on duty.
I think
Which you might have if he were white.
First of all, it amazes me because I was talking to the Acorn TV people, and they were telling me that the expectation is not only amongst people maybe my age or in my generation, but like younger people that are totally hooked into the story and into all the adventures that the family goes through, because it's so intertwined with human nature. We're all alike, even though we're miles and miles away from each other, right?
Yeah, it's intergenerational and it's also totally relatable. And I think the two make for family viewing, literally. So when I speak to people, I often have people see me in a supermarket, say, and as they're walking towards me with a huge grin on their face, I go, is this A Place to Call Home, Jack Irish or Janet King? And I can never pick it. And when it comes from a really young person, I watch A Place to Call Home with my mom or my dad or my grandmother, or I think that this is an amazing impact. Bevan Lee, the creator, he wrote across every single season except for one, and he really nurtured everybody. All the characters get a really great go, and as you'll see in 5 and 6, he spins things on its head in the middle of an episode, which I really love as well.
When we first meet Sarah and we see how courageous she is, and she is ready to fight for what she believes is right and fair, and at the same time she's like in pain inside, and silently in pain, that's what I want to say. It's a beautiful character, and that's why, again, we feel so, we want to see you again, and we see you and everyone. It has a lot of very subtle magical touches that makes this series something endearing to our heart as viewers. Really.
I think as well, being able to shoot on location. We shot it in the country in this place called Camden, and the house, of course, Ash Park, is its own character. So you get a lot of culture that way. You get a lot of our environment, our weather, our atmosphere. So for me, that setting was so beautiful to shoot in. That area became like my second home. And so similarly, I have a show that I'm about to announce, which will be set in Tasmania, and we'll be sharing that level of landscape and kind of so that you around the world can travel to us without obviously getting on a plane. So that'll be helpful moving forward, I think.
Oh, certainly, certainly. And also, not only you are showing your country, your beautiful country, but again, connecting with us through this amazing fact that we are all the same. Do you have any particular special, your favorite character that you like keep in your heart the most?
Yeah, I would say it's Roy, played by Frankie J. Holden, who really became a father for Sarah on the show.
Yes.
And who I have a very, very beautiful relationship with as a friend. And the final season, actually, season 6, shows Sarah and Roy in a way we've never seen them before. And shooting it was really poignant. I won't give it away, but we really got to spend a lot of time together. And I knew it was the last season, so we were just relishing it. He's such a beautiful man. He has a gorgeous family, and we would laugh the whole time, and then we would cry together too. So for me, he had I had the deepest scenes with him.
I was going to say, what about the girls? Because I thought Olivia and Anna are, I just could picture you as girls in the back, like waiting for your scenes to happen, being friends and talking and gossiping and having a great time together. No?
Well, I watched them grow up on this show, which was amazing. I think for both of them, it was one of their first big gigs. And they were quite young when we started, because we, of course, skipped a year. So it was over 7-8 years that we did this. And I watched Olivia have a baby in her real life. And I watched Abby growing and falling in love and falling out of love. And now she has children. And I didn't get to work with them very much, which was always a shame. But our group scenes around the table, we'd always giggle and muck around. And I have to say, we shoot very fast in Australia. I don't know if it's the same in Mexico, but we don't have huge budgets. So we really are sometimes smashing out 20 minutes a day. So there's not always time to muck around necessarily, but we loved each other very much, took care of each other on set.
You were talking about budgets and things like that. I don't want to go too much into technical things, but you know what? I think that you do have a show that looks like a very expensive, a production value filled thing that also is very attractive.
Yeah.
And you're a producer, so you know a lot about that.
I do now. So I understand what was achieved now. And it was, well, we were coming off the back of Downton Abbey. So, and we won't go into numbers, but their budget was 10 times ours per ep. So you go, okay, that's not a small achievement to have it look the way it looked. I mean, certainly our cinematographers, we only had 2 across 6 seasons, John Stokes, and then we went into Henry, and both of them achieved this incredibly sumptuous look with full depth. And then production design wise, we only had 2 production designers. The second production designer worked with the first one on the show originally, so had the setup. And that type of continuity gives a shorthand, but it also gives an assurity. So for me, I never walked on set and thought, oh, how are we going to sell that this is actually because we had Camden, we had Ash Park. So for that, I think it really stood up, and why it sold around the world.
What a joy of work it must have been to you as an actor, as you say, and having your background in theater and having all this range and having been able in a long 7 years to not only create a character, but have her transcend a first stage and then just evolve into what we're going to see next. I'm dying to see it. And I would like to ask you, what do you cherish most about this period of your life? Because it brought so much to you in every sense possible.
I think for me, because I also was shooting Janet King and Jack Irish on my off times. So
really?
Yeah, I would have 2 weeks off a year and I would throw myself on an island with my kids and my husband and go, how is everyone? What I cherished about this was that I often brought them with me. On a place to call home, it was possible. And we would go to the country and they would stay with me. And sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, they were in the show. And so, or they would hand out jewelry to the extras. They were very welcome. It was a very welcoming set. Not that the others weren't, but they were more urban and hardcore. And Janet's subject matter was not okay for the kids to be around. And then when Ben joined the show, which was Bevan's idea, he came up to me at the Logies, which is like our Emmys. And we were nominated and it was all amazing. And we were going, and he said, I've written this, your Renee, who I knew about from the stories I'd told. He said, will reappear. Really? Oh yeah, they find him and then you find him. I was like, oh, wow, that's so exciting. And he said, and I really want your husband to play him. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, but only if you're comfortable with that. But I've been watching some of his work because he's already an actor. And I think he's perfect. And I said, well, I'll ask him. So I went home and I said, hey, babe, how would you feel about turning up as my Parisian Jewish husband that I converted for? And he said, all right, well, I'll have a look. And he was a bit nervous. And then he read it. And again, very, very difficult character, very strange, deeply damaged soul. And he said, yeah, okay. And that is what I cherish. That season with him playing Renee, which I thought he did an incredible job. It was quite difficult to roll with all of that. He was having lots of flashes and uncontrollable anger and sadness, and because he was a prisoner of war for years. I loved that. I loved working with him. And often we didn't talk about it much at home, but we would say to the directors, if you could just set the camera and let us play as a two in a two shot, we'd love to show you the dance before you cut in and do all those ECUs, which is extreme close-ups.
Sarah.
Yes. Yes. There you are.
I can't believe you were doing all this work, having no rest at all, and just being able to switch from one of these amazing, strong, present women to the other one. I can't fathom how you did that. Respect, Martha. Really.
Thank you. And I had a young family, and lots of people do.
Yes, a private life, and
about it. Yeah, I mean, we make it work, and we make sure our kids know we love them and that we're there, and they join us. And I had a lot of interviews that would say to me, "Do you feel guilty?" And I would say, "No, because my children are seeing me succeed and work and collaborate, more to the point, and build these stories that are going around the world, and I'm proud of that, and so are they." So I feel like that narrative has finished, though. I feel like finally we are being seen as multitaskers, and that's okay, and nobody suffers, and in fact everyone grows. So yeah.
Martha, I'd like to know if you remember certain scenes or performances that just blended into your memory forever.
The other scene that I remember and that I cherish is after Renee had died, and shooting that was very difficult, him dying, because he did a really good job. I think I might have flipped a little bit into that's my husband. So I absolutely was bereft, and the extras around me, I remember, were sort of standing there, not quite, and I completely lost it. He was on the ground, he'd had an aneurysm, and his brain was bleeding basically, and that was very, very horrific. But afterwards we went through these scenes of me mourning him through ritual, through Judaism, through to tradition, and I found that very affecting. And I realized how important it was to that culture to grieve the way they did, and how successful that was for me as Sarah to be able to go through certain rituals to bury my grief the way I needed to. So that was very moving as well.
Amen. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Maya. Yehi Shlama Rabba Mishamaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Amen. Oseh Shalom B'imromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Amen. May his memory be a blessing.
So you have to come to Latin America. You have to visit all these places where people love you and follow you and root for you. So you have to come, and you have to learn how to say a few words in Spanish, because you have friends here.
That excites me so much. I did some interviews for Mexico a couple of years ago, and I felt the same, and I should have jumped on a plane then, because of course it was before all of this. So definitely when the world opens up, I'm coming to visit you in person. And I'd love to introduce my family. That's very important to me. It would be an absolute delight.
You are all going to love what we have over here in this part of the world. All the culture, amazing food, and again, very loving people that are dying to meet you and tell you personally that they love you. So that's why I have a few questions here for you from your fans that and they say that what was the hardest scene for you to play?
The hardest scene for me to play was the death of Renee. Definitely too many, art and life just clashed in a horrible way. And but it was nothing that a hug as I lifted him up off the floor didn't fix. But yeah, it was pretty difficult.
Okay, another question that has a little bit to do with what I already told you, that because we want you to know that we care for you and that we have been following you all this time. So how does it feel to know that A Place to Call Home has a very big fan base in Latin America? Unexpected?
Certainly, yeah. A couple of years ago when I did some interviews and I was told how huge, actually that was for Janet King. That's right. How much they loved that. And I was, what, really? I actually told all my friends, I've just done interviews in Mexico. I'm so excited.
I'm going to mash two questions into one, because it says if you could play another character from the show, which one would it be? And also mashing it with, aside from Sarah, which is your favorite character and why? You already said Roy, right? But playing another one, who would it be?
Probably Doris. Doris was, she just used to come into scenes, crack a few jokes, be outrageous and leave. And I thought, gosh, that would be so fun.
Okay, after 6 years of working on the series and with those people, how did you feel when it ended? What do you miss the most?
Yeah, I miss the friendships. I miss seeing them, knowing about their lives. I miss my makeup artist. I miss my costume designer, the production designer, who all became really good friends. The producers were fabulous too. And I have to say, working with Foxtel that produced it here in Australia, it was like a family. Brian Walsh, who still runs Foxtel here, is such a believer in Australian stories. And if it wasn't for him, this show wouldn't have continued because Channel 7 finished it up. And yeah, I have to say a shout out to Acorn, because I've also known them for 10 years. And I've been to Washington and met them in LA. And they're also like a family, the way that they connect with me and, you know, ask after me and follow up on the shows. I think we're very lucky to have Acorn showing Australian drama as well.
And finally, did you keep any mementos of the wardrobe or anything with you that we might know of? Because sometimes actors tend to steal things from the set to keep in their hearts.
Well, I heads up, Gloria, I didn't steal it. I was given it.
All right.
Every season, I would choose one piece of taxidermy. Now, I'm not, for people who don't like animals being, they were already taxidermied. So I wasn't creating taxidermy, but I just thought it was such the essence of this show that we had gone back in time and sort of put it inside of something else, if you like, the skin of the skin. And so I have one piece from Ash Park from each season that's around my home. And I've named them after different characters in the show. And my children know them and they're like, oh, how's Da-da-da getting on today? And we say, oh, yes.
You're not naming them. You're not telling us who they are. Oh, my God. Martha, I love talking to you, meeting you, having you face to face, even though there's a little screen in between us. And I really, I admire your work and respect it a lot. And looking forward to what's next to come with A Place to Call Home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gloria. I've adored talking to you. Take care.
Thank you.